Well, hello everybody. I am here back this time to talk about the job market here in Vancouver. And I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I was waiting until I got like a more stable situation, a more stable job situation, so I could come here and talk to you guys and give advice on, something I actually got a result in. And now it finally happened. I already got my second job, and I'm here to talk about my experience coming here as a student and trying to get a job in Vancouver as a newcomer. Someone who's an international student, someone who doesn't have any Canadian experience in her resume before coming here, and all of the things I wish people had told me, because I feel like you come here on YouTube, you either find people saying that, oh my God, it's so amazing, you're gonna get a job so easily here in Canada, or you're gonna find people saying that it's awful, you're never gonna get a job, don't come here, or whatever. And I don't feel like either of those perspectives are actually realistic. I'm going to tell you what I think is the reality, and at least the reality I have found coming here to Vancouver in 2025 and trying to get a job as a student. And to me, I'm going to actually already give you some overview to what is my conclusion about the reality here is that it's actually in the middle. It's not like something you're never going to be able to figure it out and you're never going to get a job. And it's not something that it's going to be super duper easy at all. So I'm going to talk about some of the common obstacles you're going to find here that I wasn't aware about before coming here, and some of the solutions you can find. And some of these solutions are actually great things you can do before arriving in Canada or before arriving in Vancouver. So if you're still like preparing to land in Canada, this is the perfect time to start going after some of those things, some of the certificates, some of the experiences I am going to suggest you guys here. So yes, let's dive into it. And then after that, I'm going to talk about how I got a job, my experience working here in Canada, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so the first thing I would like to talk about is the fact that when you come here as a student, I think the first blockage you're going to get, a lot of people are going to say is that, oh, you don't have Canadian experience. That's a blockage. Hell yeah. I'm going to talk more about that just in a bit. But first of all, I think the biggest obstacle you're going to find is the limitation of hours you get to work in a week, because with a student visa, you're only allowed to work now in 2025. You're allowed to work 24 hours per week when you're studying. And then during breaks, you are allowed to work full time, so you don't have a limitation of hours per week. So you can work, how many hours you would like. But well, for the biggest, for the longest amount of time, you're gonna be working part-time. But when they say working part-time, you would expect that every job part-time is gonna be right half of the amount of hours people usually work per week, which here in Canada, I think it's like 40 hours. So you would expect that every job that it's part-time, it's going to require you to work 20 hours, but that's not the reality at all. So usually people, when they say it's a part-time job, what they mean is that you're not going to work full-time. So you're not going to work 40 hours per week. You're going to work less than that, but that doesn't mean it's limited to 24 hours or 20 hours per week. So usually even the jobs you find, even the part-time jobs you find, you might find some struggle to fit within your limitations, because the companies want someone part-time, but they want someone that's going to be able to do overtime, work above 20 hours or 24 hours, or someone that just wouldn't have that limitation at all. And some companies, they are even not, like, they're actually not very realistic in that sense, in a way that they want someone to work part-time, but they also want someone that's going to be available any time of the week, which is not very realistic, because if you think about it, if someone is working part-time, that's probably because they have something else going on. Because if they didn't have anything else going on, they would probably be working full-time. So, but they want someone that's going to be available evenings, mornings, weekends, whatever. And so that's another obstacle you're going to find, because you're only allowed to work a certain amount of hours off campus. And the jobs you're going to find, sometimes they're not going to require the amount of hours you're allowed to work. They're going to require more. So that's some limitation and blockage you're going to find coming here. I feel like this is the biggest blockage you're going to find, honestly. There are other blockages you might find, but I feel like this is the biggest one, honestly. To find a job that not only is going to take you and how much experience you have and everything, but also a job that's going to be okay with you not being able to work more than 24 hours per week during your school time. So, and how do you fix that? Well, you cannot really fix that, but what I would say is, you might have a better option, a better chance to get a job if you go for a temporary job, at least as a first job in here. You might find a lot of temporary positions. So temporary positions, you're only going to work for that amount of time, and it's a contract. You know exactly when you're going to start working, when you're going to stop working. And it's not ideal because it's not permanent, of course, but it's something that's good for you to at least start, because then if you get a temporary job, you're going to be able to add that to a resume, and people are going to know that you at least have already worked here in Canada, and that's something they really want to, they really value in your resume if you have already worked in the country or for a Canadian company. And I'm going to explain why that is. And when you work for a temporary job, it's not ideal, but you might have a chance, because for a temporary job, well, they usually are wanting someone to work just for that period of time. Sometimes it's because they're doing an event, or sometimes they are receiving people from other country and they need people helping out, or they just need people to help out during that amount of time. So they might be more open to have people who are not allowed to work that many hours. You know what I mean? So that's my advice for you, especially because the first job I got here, I'm going to talk about it in a moment. It was a temporary job, so it took like 3 months. And it was great for me because it was temporary, so they just needed someone to help out during that time, during the period where the program was going on, and they needed help. So I got my first job in those conditions, and now after I left that job, I got a second job right now, which is a permanent job. And of course, having that first job, that was, even though it was temporary, it helped me a lot because I already had experience here in Vancouver, and my new employer really liked that. And also the activities I have performed in that previous role related to the role I'm going to have right now at my new job. So that really helped me. So yeah, this is one thing I would recommend. I would totally recommend you to go for jobs that are temporary firsthand, that you might have a bigger chance to get called. You might also look for casual jobs, but honestly, just apply to any job you feel like you have a chance of getting it, because you never know. But what I mean is, it's really not about, you shouldn't just apply for these, but if you maybe you're not having any success with other jobs, maybe you can try to focus on temporary jobs and maybe have more of a shot. And then the second obstacle that you will probably face coming here as a student, is the fact that, well, a lot of people, you probably have heard it in many other places, people saying that, oh, they want you to have Canadian experience, and it makes you feel like even if you have worked for 10 years in a very good company back in your country, that doesn't mean a thing once you get here, because it's not really important to them. But it's like, I feel like it's actually partially true. The reality is that, well, the problem with the experiences you have back in your country is that people cannot verify those information. So basically, you can say that you have worked anywhere, and how would these employers be able to verify if this information is true, right? Because, I mean, if you have worked in Canada, they can maybe call and they can maybe verify, oh, so this is a real company. They can call and maybe see if they can get a reference for you. They can, see that this is a legit thing that you have done in the past. But with companies that they have never heard of, from a country they've never been at, it's really hard for them to know if you're telling the truth or not. So that's why, one simple way to get around that, and it's really important for you guys, and I would strongly advise you to do, is to pay attention to your LinkedIn. And when I say pay attention to your LinkedIn, I'm not just saying like updating, like, oh, I have worked in this company from this year to this year. No, it's not about that. I'm talking about visual proof. If you have any pictures of you doing your past jobs, that's the moment where you should totally update in your LinkedIn profile, because that's a safe way that employers here can go and check if you're telling the truth. So if you have pictures of you in a corporate party wearing your uniform for your company, receiving some type of award, any type of visual proof that you can add to your LinkedIn profile can really come on handy in this situations, because then they can check and see, oh, okay, I can see this person has a picture doing this, so it's probably true. They will feel way more confident to hire you, and you might have a better shot. So you must totally update your LinkedIn profile with pictures and visual proof, and add your LinkedIn profile to a resume. This is really important. Well, so this is the second barrier you might find. The third barrier you might find is the fact that here in Canada, and I was totally unaware of that, I think this is probably, I've never seen anyone on YouTube giving you guys this information, okay? Not to brag, but seriously, everything here in Canada, they require a certificate. I didn't have any idea of that. Like, they will require certificates for things that back in my country, I wouldn't need any type of certificate to do. So even for entry-level jobs, they might require you to have, for example, first aid certificate. Or like if you're going to serve alcohol, there is a certificate for that, because they have certain regulations about alcohol. If you're going to work with food, you have to have a certificate and knowing how to handle food, knowing how to handle hazard materials and stuff like that. So there is certain certificates that they ask for, especially if you're going for an entry-level job, you're going to serve food, you're going to work with customers. Usually they ask for these certificates that you probably don't have, because you've never needed them before. But the good news are, many of these certificates are actually online, so you can take the course online, pay a fee, and then get your certificate, and then you can add that to your resume and have a huge upper hand when you are in a hiring process, because so many students don't have these certificates and they're not aware of these certificates. So I'm going to list the names of the most common certificates. You can go check what they are, if they are requirement for the positions you're looking for, you're trying to get hired for, and then do the course, pay the fee, and get them, because it's gonna be so worth it if you do. Trust me. And you don't want to be behind in any type of way. I mean, you already have a lot of things like working against you. So that's one thing I would strongly advise you guys to do. And then we come to the fourth obstacle, which is the English thing. Well, that's the thing. Many types of jobs will require you to communicate and will require you to talk to customers. Sometimes the jobs might require you to talk on the phone. Sometimes the jobs will require you to talk to other coworkers, and they don't want to hire someone that's gonna make this whole process more difficult. If you struggle with English, they might not want to hire you, depending on the position and how much ability you have to have with the language. They might not want to hire you simply because English is not your first language, because they cannot verify your level of English just by looking at your resume. So they just look at you, they see you're an international student, they see that you come from a country maybe that it's not that doesn't speak English as a first language, and then they would just no, because they cannot verify if your English is good. They might want to call you for an interview to verify that in person, but I mean, I think you agree with me that it's a little bit harder for that to happen, because they might have so many other resumes and they just want to, cut people that they feel like might be a waste of time for them. So I wouldn't add another level, another layer of difficulty to that. So how do you solve that? Well, find a way to certify your English. Seriously, guys, I feel like this is one of the things that have helped me so much getting a job, because I got a certification for my C2 level English, official certificate from Cambridge. And that was really good to add to my resume, because even before having an interview with me, they could just read my resume and see that I am certified to have a proficient level of English. So they were like, oh, perfect, great, like, oh, this person definitely knows how to speak English. They have been officially certified to have this level of English, so I can trust that this person knows how to communicate. So it's a huge advantage for you. If you don't have any type of certification, you should totally think about getting one. And think about getting one that's like the highest level you can achieve right now. If you feel like, oh, I'm a B1, but maybe I can study and prepare and get a B2 certificate, maybe that's good for you, because it's going to help you a lot. It might be one thing that maybe you might think it's not important, but it's going to, help you, be far ahead from the competition. So that's one thing I definitely would advise you to do. So yeah, now coming to my story with my job. Well, I got 2 jobs right now. I'm in my second job here in Vancouver. The first job I got in 3 weeks in here, and of course this is a really good thing. But I'm going to be very honest with you. I am kind of an exception compared to many other colleagues I know. I know many international students who are here and haven't got a job in 1 month, 2 months. They're here 3 months. So it's not really that easy. I feel like I have been an exception in that sense. And some things, I feel like some things have helped me in that sense. For example, like I said, my English certification, the fact that I had a recommendation letter in English, the fact that I had updated my LinkedIn profile, the fact that I have, and the fact that I am studying a course right now that is very related to customer service. So right now I'm studying a tourism and hospitality management in college, which I feel like it's a good course for you to get first job here in Vancouver, because well, when you come as a student, you might want to go for entry-level jobs because you feel like that's what you're going to have a bigger shot of having, like of getting. And when they see that you have that you're studying for hospitality, they feel like you might be a good candidate because you're actually looking for to build a career in the hospitality sector. And the hospitality sector has so much it's related a lot to like restaurants or hotels or any type of customer service that you might think might be related to hospitality. So I had a big branch of options, and I feel like that probably have helped me because even though I didn't have experience in the sector, they would see that I'm actually looking to build a career in this sector. So I wouldn't be just someone temporary that would just get this job and leave immediately when I get something better. That's what probably they would think. And so yes, those are the reasons why I think I got lucky. But I have to be honest with you, that's not the case for many of my colleagues. So that's why I'm making this video, to let you guys know what is the reality. So what was the job I got first? Well, the first job I got, I worked with Oxford International, and it was a pretty good job. It was a temporary job. It took about 3 months. And the reason I got this job is because the job basically was related to education and hospitality, because I was going to receive a bunch of international students coming from all different types of the world to spend the summer, a few weeks here in Canada, studying English, going to excursions, doing all types of activities. So they wanted someone to go on excursions with them, do activities with them, and it was a really nice job for me. I got to go on excursions and go to Playland and all sorts of places with the students, and of course it was challenging but really fun, and I feel like it was a job that it wasn't that bad for me to start. You know what I mean? It wasn't that physically demanding. A little bit, yeah, I would have to walk a lot, but like I wouldn't have to be like doing like hard labor or anything. And it was related to what I do, because I have a background in education and a background in hospitality right now. So it was a perfect job for me, and I was really happy to get this job. So after I finished the contract, 3 weeks later, I got a new job, and this time to be supporting in office with sort of inventory, like getting getting office supplies, stationery supplies, and getting like seeing if people have enough things in the kitchen, like coffee and cream, stuff like that. So pretty chill job, and I'm really happy about it. And this one it's permanent, so it's really fortunate for me, and that's why I made this video, to maybe help people who went through the same things and maybe have a better, more luck with this mission. And so that's why that I advise you right away, guys. If you are coming here, and your money is tight, and you really need to have some money flowing, think about things you can do to work for yourself. So if you have any type of talent that you can use, if you know how to do nails, if you if you can work as a tutor. Well, for me, I have been working as a private English teacher, and I had a few students, and I had a few money coming in from that, and that really helped me, because even though it was short money, it was still some money coming in. And I would strongly advise you to, if you don't have anything that you know how to do, maybe do a short course to learn how to do something that you can provide a service to people independently, because that's the way a lot of people do it here, you know. Until they get an official job, a permanent job that they would like, they can do those types of gigs on the side. So you can do that. You can use apps such as, for example, Rover. It's an app where you can apply, like make a profile and then work as a dog walker or taking care of pets, and you don't really have to have that much experience, and you can get some money from that. So be creative to get your money coming in, because if things get tight, you know, honestly, I got these jobs, but a lot of it also had to do with luck. I mean, those are the things I imagine that have helped me, but I cannot guarantee for sure that those were the factors that got me a job, you know. And in the meanwhile, I was working as an English tutor, teaching English, helping people with English, and this is really important. Okay, so you don't want to rely solely on luck. Do your things, find your gigs, so you can get your money in. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I really hope that this video helped you in any way, and I would really like you guys to leave a comment saying what you think, what you want to see here. And please like the video if you enjoyed the video, and please think about subscribing, because I'm going to bring way more stuff and way more content about life here in Vancouver and being an international student and everything else. Okay, so thank you so much, and see you next time.